welcome to episode 55 of Manifesting with Meg in 2021. I am so excited to enjoy this conversations with extraordinary Simone Gers tonight. So we are ready to go, and we are all about talking about being bold with your life and with your dreams and with your vision and with your mission. And I can't be more excited to come to you on January 11th. 2021, even more exciting. This is a show about life transformation, living your dreams, spiritual inspiration, finding true happiness, and my favorite, discovering bliss. So time to manifest the life of your dreams. Good evening, Simone. And hello, everybody. We have Connie and we have Suzanne on this evening. So welcome, everybody. This is a magical evening because Simone is a magical person. And when I tell you that she is magical, you'll soon learn the true beauty of her magic. But I want to remind everybody that bliss is not just an abstract idea. It's an attainable state of being. Whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, you are just steps away from living the life you desire. And we are all ready to wake up to a universe packed with possibility. Simone, good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. It's so great to be here with you and everyone tonight.
I do want to say this before we start. You are one of the people in my many lives probably, as we know. We don't know. You are one of the people in my life that truly were one of those angels that God sent to me on earth when I first was navigating the grieving process. And, you know, you happened upon certain people at the right time, and you were clearly not in the same geographic location, but because of the beauty back then of just telephone, because we didn't even have Zoom. You touched my life then, and you continue to do so. And I've been able to witness the beauty of your journey and share you with others. And at the same time, we get to celebrate each other. So before we begin, I just want us both to set our intentions for the evening. As most of you who've joined me for my show before, this is a show based upon my book, The Magical Guide to Bliss. And this is January, the month of Carpe Diem, seize the day. And what we do is we follow through with the different interviews based upon that date. Today is Be Bold, which I couldn't imagine a better person to share that theme with, because Lord knows she is a bold badass anyway. So when we set our intentions, then the gift is at the end of the day, at the end of the evening, at the end of the interview, get to share what the number is that you pick with everyone else. So go ahead and do that. And I would like, without further ado, to introduce all of you to Simone. In addition to being certified in many modalities, she's earned her master's degree in literature, completed the coursework for a doctorate in reading, studied brain mapping and quantum medicine. We'll get into that. Don't worry. I know that's probably kind of like, what? And as a published author, international speaker, she's taught writing and literature at the college level for over 25 years and is a Professor Emeritus. Through soul communication and soul surgery, Simone works with people to discover what the soul can do in this reality, which is quite amazing when you think about it. Soul communications, an inquiry that leads us closer to the truth, to what the soul has to express. And I'm going to let Simone talk to you about that as well. But she facilitates the sacred marriage between the soul and the personality, and the synergy of the body, and the synarchy of the body and the soul. Through each engagement and merging of the soul and body, we move closer to their truth and embodiment experience and ever-expanding expression through the personality. So without further ado, I get to introduce you guys to this extraordinary woman. So get empowered to make the changes you need to manifest the most amazing life of your dreams. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here.
I think that you are fabulous on so many different levels. And like I said before, today is January 11th. And I read that this is one of the luckiest days in the month. And I should have known that when we actually booked you for the interview, because I was like, perfect. I couldn't imagine a better day. This is our cosmic bright spot that will help us getting into the year with confidence. You know, I love the breakdown, the word confidence. It's with faith, confidere. So number one in numerology represents independence and belief in oneself. So I want us all to like certainly embody this incredible belief in ourselves as we join into this soul talk, literally, with Simone. And, you know, we get this triple dose of energy because tomorrow is also the new moon. So if we set our intentions today and make our big wishes, then tomorrow is a sign of new beginning and new journeys, and try to change the page, turn the page of one chapter to the next. And then we get to see what happens next and get excited maybe about our lives a little differently, you know, clearing a way to set those goals and strengthen our sense of beliefs in ourselves. So Simone, you're a quantum shaman, and I'm sure that many of us have not ever heard what that is. So maybe you could, you know, tell us a little bit about that before we even begin.
So the quantum part is that in my work, I bring the non-physical into physical. And the shamanic part is that when I'm working with someone's soul, they will often show me a picture from my life or a scene from my life. And I know I have to tell that story. And I don't know why that, you know, why that is or what that story will do for the person, but I've done this long enough to trust that shamanic process. And without fail, whenever I do that, it, you know, magic happens. So the quantum is the bringing the non-physical into physical, and the shamanic is the shamanic story, this shamanic journey.
I love that. And I love how you call it a story and as well the journey, because, you know, when we trust the process of life and then we have the ability to embrace the story, it makes it even more magical, like you said. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to this place so that we know a little bit about that journey.
Oh, okay. So I have been clairvoyant all my life. I mean, from the time I was a little bitty girl. And I was raised Catholic in the South, and I learned very, very early on that my family didn't see what I saw, and in fact, they were a little bit afraid of what I saw. And so I learned to just have that everything that I saw kind of became my internal world because I didn't have anyone to talk to about that. So by the time I was in my 20s, I would hear a kind of a noise, and then I would get a little screen would appear, and then I'd just start watching video of something. And, you know, when I was in my 20s, I started seeing the videos about people in my life, and like I could see their life journey, and it was so, you know, it's hard. And I think I had a lot of judgment, you know, I had no one to talk to about this. And so I actually, one day I was so, I guess, triggered by what I was watching about someone in my family that I said, God, make this stop. And then it was just like that screen was just sucked out of my world. And then very shortly after that, I started battling depression. And I didn't put it together until much later in my life that, you know, in making that stop, I really had disconnected from my own soul.
Wow.
And so then as I am going along in my world, and I have my children, and you know, my gifts didn't completely disappear, but I fragmented it. So, you know, I had this oddball gift of being able to just kind of read tarot, or my kids had pain and they would say, Mom, take it out. They knew, you know, if I put my hands on them, I could remove the pain. Or I just had this, you know, knowing, or just fragmented. And then later on in my life, I started putting the pieces back together again. And some of the, you know, trauma was kind of a big part of that reconnection. I started working with a Cherokee medicine man in the 90s. And Meg, you and I met through work with a kahuna in Hawaii that we did for 2 years. And my son had a really serious accident in which he lost his vision, and he started to he had so much medication. He had 5 brain surgeries, over 30 surgeries, and he felt like this medicine was just killing him. And so he said to the doctor, or the brain surgeon, they wanted to do another surgery. He said, no, my mom's going to bring me home and heal me.
I love that.
And so we went home and we worked all day. It became our job. And, we would get up in the morning and we would start meditating and using all the tools that I had. And
amazing.
a month later, he didn't have all of those infections in him anymore. And
Wow.
he was able to go on and live his life. And then I was shaking people's hands and they were like, I didn't know you were a Reiki master. I didn't even know what that was. So I looked it up, and then, as I did the trainings, and then it just started my quest to really reintegrate all of my gifts. And eventually I became an Akashic record reader, and that morphed to that's kind of the
I gotta stop you because Akashic record reader, you got to explain that. I know what it is, but there's so many people that probably have no idea, have never heard that before in their life. So explain a little bit what that is.
Okay, so the Akashic record, everyone, we all have a soul level library. It's the library of all of our lifetimes, if you will. And so we can go into the Akash and communicate. And then different Akashic record readers have different gifts. Mine is, when I'm in the Akash, I actually speak to the person's masters, teachers, and loved ones. And so, when I do that work, we prepare the questions carefully, because, you're in your Akashic record. It's important to, be prepared for that journey and to think carefully about what it is you'd like to know and to heal. And from that, my own soul wisdom and communicating at the level of soul consciousness just bloomed from that capacity to work with the Akashic records. So
I love that it's about healing, the healing process, because we forget who we are. And I'm sure as we go along our lives, we're like the disconnect, and really the wounds arise because we, like you said, you eschew that who you are, and then you're depressed because you're living authentic, not inauthentically, and you're living basically what is a lie, but you don't want to bring attention to those beauty and that gifts and those wonderful things. So, the wound gets perpetuated over the years. And one of the things I think about when we talk about being bold in life, and I think truly one of the, literally the quote that it's based on today, is about, stepping into that who you are and owning it. So hang on one second. I want to put it up here because I find it amazing, and at the same time very empowering. It's Goethe, and he says, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And that's the quote we're relying on today. And it's perfect for you because I know you, and I know how bold you have been to own your journey, and you have healed and helped to heal so many people on the path, as if you are showing up with this light that, without even touching them, sitting where you are in Washington, you can send that out to the world, which I think we all know the world needs a lot of healing, love, and light right now. And one of the things I focus on is that in this world, we are all connected. Our lives are intertwined with others. And when we shame or ostracize another or judge another, it's reflected back and mirrored to ourselves as well. And, you know, when you told me, when I had the luck of getting an Akashic record reading with you, and I remember you're like, this life, you come back, so you have to work your way to where you were before. Before you were like holding court, and now you have to like move things out of the way and like actually, you know, make it a little harder for yourself because I wanted the lessons. I was like, why would I want to do that again? It's like, I'm not sure. Can you have a conversation with whoever is in that little master group up there? No. But the reality is that we're here to learn lessons so we can grow more enlightened. And that's where the boldness has genius. When we embrace who we are, authentically who we are, and step into that. And, you know, I want to say one more thing with regard to, you know, being bold. I think it's not always easy, but it's necessary. And I want to turn to you, Simone, I say, with regard to, you know, the fact of the matter is, how have you been bold in your life up until this point? And Berta's saying there's such a heavy and energy draining way to live if you're not living in authenticity as well, which I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And I think that for me, some of the boldest things that I've done are just because I'm being vulnerable and being willing to be the truth of who I am in that moment. And to, yeah, that's fearless to me. You know, vulnerability is fearlessness.
I love that. Imagine if we all came to the table, you know, like, this is me, this is what I got. You know, love me or leave me, baby, but this is it. I mean, imagine all the different, like, oh, they like me, will they say anything bad about me? All of that falls away because the bottom line is that I'm pretty cool. There are people who like me. I don't care. It's like, I have a lot to add. I have a lot to add to the party, you know, and my story may help someone heal. And I turn back to you with the vulnerability portion. I mean, when you were a little girl and you had these beautiful, you know, it's funny. You know, I always like, it feels special. Like, you're like, not that we're not all special. We're all special, but I was like, wow, that's so cool. But you weren't experiencing that initially because of what other tapes the people that were surrounding you may have played at the time. But when you finally decide to be bold and own that, because you were a professor too. I mean, it's not like you're going to show up like that. But the matter of fact is that when more people see your beauty for the gifts that you have, then you see people around you will change.
It's so true. It's so true.
So when did you decide, like, it's time to be, was it when your son got into the accident, or was it subsequent to that when you actually, like, I remember you walk on the stage and you did your thing and you came in as Christine and you were just like powerful. I saw the room just calm. And it's such a beautiful thing when you see peace come over people. It's like, oh, like all the burdens just fall away. What a gift. I don't know. Tell me, was it a, I'm doing this, I'm not gonna, you know, stay in the shadows anymore?
No, it was, for me, it was just a natural progression because I just, you know, it was constantly inquiring, you know, which, you know, from our 2 years of work together, it was a constant inquiry. And the more you inquire and, you know, look into yourself, the more you bloom, and the more you inquire and the more you bloom. And so for me, you know, having taught adults my whole career, I was constantly in front of people. So talking to people and working with people is easy for me in that sense. And then I remember, you know, I had a career. I didn't need to do something else. And so maybe that took the pressure off of me, because really it just started with me working with my family and my friends. And then when I started reading the Akashic record, I didn't even know what I was doing. And I was telling my friend, oh, here's what's happening. And she's like, oh, you're reading the Akashic record. And I was like, well, I'd like some formal training because I don't really understand. Like, and so she was like, oh, here's this book. And then so I read the book and I did all the practices, and it helped me to grow. And then one of the things that this book that was by Linda Howe, and it's about learning how to read the Akashic Record. And at the end, she says, as a gift to the universe for your gift of being able to read, you should give 30 days of sessions away. And the way, there was a sample letter, and this is a really long time ago, but I remember it so clearly. And so she's, it was a sample letter, and you just sent it out to, people you knew. And so I did.
I was going to say, how did you decide who to send it to? Hi.
I went through my email, my email address book, and I was like, it won't freak this person out. I think this person will play, and I think this person will play. Yeah. And so I sent it out, and then 3 months in, I'm still doing free Akashic Record sessions, because it wasn't about the money. It was just about I had to do it. And so but then eventually it was just a natural flow of because after I started doing it with other people outside of my family and friends circle, people started referring me. Yeah. And, sending people to me. And so I have really been completely blessed that I have a website, but it's just really so when someone's referring me, they can go and see I'm real and see a bit of who I am. But, I really, all my clients come from referrals, and I've been extraordinarily blessed in that way. And so, yeah, it was kind of a natural evolution. So I feel like in that way, I've been really, really blessed.
It's interesting because the matter of fact of it is that when you're bold with your life and you step into the things that you're supposed to do, your calling, and like you say, not your should, because you don't should on yourself, but the calling, you inspire other people to go, well, I want to be more aligned with my passion and purpose. Well, and look, she's doing it, and look, she's smiling, and she's bright, and it's like the stress is not quite there as much as it used to be, and I'm going to add this in the stream because I think it's actually on point as well. Is that your mind will always believe everything you tell it. Feed it hope, feed it truth, feed it with love, and that's what you had sent to me. And the beautiful thing is, well, first of all, I would love to know, what does this speak to you, first of all, because I just saw it and I was like, oh my God, I need to hear this today.
Well, I mean, from a quantum level, our cells are always listening. We're programming, we're mostly water, and we know science shows us that water is programmable. And so, everything we say, our body is listening to us. Our cells are listening to us. We're programming what we live. So, when we feed our bodies, when we say kind things and we're hopeful, when we focus on love, that's what we're creating in ourselves and then in our external world. So for me, that quote, it's so hopeful. And, I feel like truth is different for everyone. Love is different for everyone. Love doesn't necessarily mean, Skittles and rainbows, and butterflies. Love is
with the butterflies, but yes, I do it.
It's like love is showing up in your authentic self and being real in that moment. It might be crying with a friend. It might be, mourning with a friend. It might be rejoicing with a friend, praying with a friend, talking. It's just being present in the moment and being who you are in that moment. And really, we can say anything.
Suzanne is saying this is absolute truth. So it's true. It's how you speak to yourself, and you can actually feel, how you feel after saying, "Oh, you look so cute today. Oh, you look so pretty. Oh my God, pretty." Or you're like, go back to bed. You don't even have to show up in the world because the whole litany of complaints that you have against yourself. But you can actually feel the change in your your body chemistry. Like literally, ugh, you feel like this weight of the world, and then you like feel, ooh, yeah, maybe I am like fun and pretty today, or But you're absolutely right when it comes down to it. The impeccable with your words, but when you're telling us about how it is on a quantum level, can you go into that a little bit more as to like literally how you work with people? And then certainly tell us a little bit more about soul communication that you're now actually working in that respect as well, correct?
Most of my work, almost all of my work, is soul communication. My private practice is soul communication or soul surgery. So what I do is I connect with the person's soul. I'm able to communicate at the level of soul consciousness, and I'm quadriclarient, so I see energy, hear energy, feel energy in my body, and sometimes I just get a block of knowing. Sometimes it's several at once. And so I will ask a soul to communicate with me and the client, with us, and for the purpose of healing and wisdom for the highest vibration. And then souls start giving information, how they do it. I believe, doing this for a really long time, is that the soul gives the information in a way that the human person, the human embodiment of that soul, can hear it or receive it. And so I'm just really great at listening
You are.
and describing, or if it's pictures or videos, I'm a really great describer because I don't have any judgment about what is coming through. And so I just give it to the person just as it comes through. And if I'm hearing, the soul is talking to me, I just give them the words as it comes through. If it's a block of information, I do my best to describe that. And so in that way, we have a conversation with the soul. Usually souls will give a bunch of information, and they usually initiate kind of a dialogue. And I having done this over time, what I perceive is that a soul, it's almost like a litmus test, that the soul gets to understand what the person is actually integrating through the work.
So let me ask you this, because I'm interested. So I come to you and I say, okay, Simone, I want a soul communication session with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have me like sit there and get quiet, or is it via like telephone or Zoom or what, or you do it separate and then you come back to me, or how does that work?
No, I mean, I can do it virtually, but I prefer to do it with the person. I would say 90% or just audio, because most of the time I'm just sitting in my chair, kind of like this, and usually my eyes are often closed or slightly closed, so there's not a whole lot to look at, because I'm not working in, the physical realm. I'm working in non-physical, quantumly. And yeah, so I mean, I work with people all over the world. So, through the phone, WhatsApp. I mean, I can do Zoom. We used to do, back in the day, it was free conference call before we had Skype. And, then it was Skype, or, Zoom or WhatsApp, or just any real modality, any way we can talk. And that's all that's really needed is the phone.
So Simone Simonetti is asking, are you a medium to connect with other departed souls? Is that something a part of?
Well, here's what I believe. I believe that everything has energy. I mean, everything has energy, and it doesn't matter to me what someone. I have writers who ask me to work with to talk to their books, or
I love it. Yeah.
I work with a lot of people who are in real estate, and they ask me to communicate with homes or buildings that they are interested in purchasing. I have people who want me to talk to people who have transitioned, and so we call that mediumship, but I just call it talking to the soul of that person. So I wouldn't call myself.
It doesn't have a physical structure, but it's still, the energy's there.
The energy is there.
Yeah. And I love how you point that out, because, from dust we shall return, right? It's even biblical, because, we're only here walking around in this for a set time, from one point to the other. And then we don't, it goes from the now here to the nowhere, but to the everywhere, right? So
Exactly.
I think that's where people get confused. They're like, and I've only come to understand this because of the loss of my mother.
Right.
Because of starting asking those questions
Mm.
around, where'd you go? Like, where'd you go? I'm not ready to end this party yet. But then, even the Akashic records, you talk about the tree, right? The tree of life and all the different branches on your, and I know that's getting into it, but it's so funny when you see someone that you recognize. It's like deja vu, but it's not really. It's like synchronistic. Oh, there you are. I see you finally. Now you're here.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because one of my big focuses right now is, for the last year I have worked with Ashley, Nicole, and Bella Crystal on the 64 doors, which is my spiritual practice revolves around the gene keys. And the gene keys it's really the keys for unlocking your own DNA to live your brilliance. And the gene keys are, the trajectory is astrology, the I Ching, human design, gene keys. And so for the last year, I've been doing soul conversations with each of the gene key / gate in human design / hex in the I Ching. And so we've been doing these soul conversations, and they have been absolutely amazing. But we also, Ashley, Bella, and I we do these things we call soul blueprint readings. And this is what's so amazing, is that when we do a soul blueprint reading, we're all three on the call with the client. We start with the soul, and the soul will come through and give a bunch of information. And then Ashley and Bella, who they're geniuses, or they have a lot of geniuses, but they're genius with the human design profile and the gene keys profile. And they take what the soul says and show how that wisdom that comes through from the soul illuminates the profile.
Wow.
And it is so incredible when you see, oh, this is my human design profile, this is my gene key profile, it's based on my astrology when I was born. And this, I don't do what they do. My gift is communicating with the soul. And so I'm just listening to the soul, and then the soul brings all this information that helps people see how they chose to be designed and what their profile is, and it brings it to life. And I mean, that kind of thing, it's almost like a triple, like a cross check, but a triple check, the soul, human design, the gene keys. It's really out of this world exciting to see all of that come to life, really.
So is that called Unlock Your Design? Is that that's what you're speaking to?
Yeah, so Unlock Your Design is, you can go to unlockyourdesign.com, and we go through the transits. So the I Ching changes every 6 days, and every 6 days we're in a new hexagram in the I Ching. And so we went through all of last year with all of these resources to help people understand what we're traversing through collectively as a society in those 6 days. So it's based on the astrology and the I Ching. But then each of those 64 hexagrams in the I Ching relates to electromagnetics in the body. It relates to our gene key, our genes, our codes. And so we did that all last year, and we're getting ready to go through a second round of the year. And we're going to be going through the year with the I Ching again, and looking at, our gene keys, our hexes, our gates.
Well, tell me, how did you experience the year then last year? I mean, literally, that would be the question that's burning for me to know. I mean, like, with all of this, this quantum, this understanding that we're not the only, the only experience. I can't explain it, but I do understand what you're saying. But so when you have a situation like 2020, this clarity, year of clarity, how does one who sees more in a certain way, approach the unfolding of what was and what will be now in 2021, as we see everything around us, the chaos still there, but I think it's coming to the surface. But how do we process all of that?
Well, I think going through the year with the I Ching and watch, just for me, it was all about watching patterns. So, every 6 days we're in a new energy, a new pattern. So how does that pattern show up in the collective? How does it show up in my family? How does it show up in me? How is that energy contributing or affecting my experience? And what I notice for me is that when I'm in flow, it doesn't matter what's going on. When I'm in flow, I experience ease. So
I love that.
I realized that 2020 was a hard year in a lot of ways, but also there was a lot of ease in my life. There was a lot of discovery in my life. There was a lot of joy in my life. Even with all these things happening in the collective around us, I experienced peace. I was grounded. I had a lot of joy.
Wow.
I find I adapt. I'm flexible. I flow. And so that all these big things that are going on in the world are not, they weren't battering me, because I had my grounding in myself, in the truth of who I am, and in my attitude and my outlook. And so,
I want to point out the fact that I love that you're saying that you did so much work. You did so much preparation, and I felt to me like 2020 was this test. You're like, okay, so you did a lot of work, and I'll speak for myself. After my mom passed away and all the different chaos that came at me, and the ringing and the all sorts of partying, and my anxiety and my nervous system, because I did the work, I was less in terror. Let's put it that way. I was cautious, but I wasn't in terror. I did not have the same response I had at the outset, because I learned tools to help center me and calm me when I needed it. But at the same time, yeah, I had my hiccups, like literally. I mean, when you can't tune out everything all the time, but the majority, I resonated with a sense of, I wouldn't say peace, but resilience. And when I hear you speaking, and one of the most beautiful things I have often said about you, and when you're not in my presence and I speak about you, because I do, is that I love when you're with me on anything, it's a breath. It's a breath. And it's funny to me that 2020 was all about breathing again. We all need to pause and remember to breathe, because breath is the soul sustenance. You cannot live unless you are taking deep breaths. Really breathing, not the shallow stuff. You really, and especially when it gets chaotic and you might find yourself moving into a fear-based mentality. And that, I kept saying, choose faith over fear, but that helped me, the breath. So when you speak to me about how it was a point of joy and you felt a lot of wonder and you felt a lot of really beautiful things. I feel like, with this external test, your internal systems were strong, and that means your soul work was done and you were able to help so many others. So, I would love for you to share with us now perhaps some inspiration that we could use in this new year that people could hold on to so that they could start the process or continue the process if they haven't started it yet.
Well, what I would encourage people to do, what's coming through, is to really go inside yourself. And if you aren't already, find what it is, be honest with yourself about what you really truly want. What is it that you really truly want? And what brings you joy? And maybe you're partly there, but maybe it's how you're accomplishing what it is you want. Maybe you need to or you'd like, it would be lighter for you to think about how you structure your day, or the way that you accomplish your work, or just being honest about that you love what you're doing or you don't, and really ground into yourself in this year. We have to take care of ourselves. When we put the oxygen mask on ourselves first, we have the breath to help somebody else.
Yeah.
And to really go inside and take an honest look at yourself. And if you are where you are, if you are where you want to be, fantastic. If you're kind of there, what can you do to pivot to get even more there? To live even more authentically. If you're not there, really have the courage to go inside and contemplate, what is it that really brings you joy, and how can you start working that into your life in some way, in any way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. That is important. And even Suzanne saying spot on life advice. It is. It really is. What brings you joy? That's a beautiful question to start 2021, especially today when, we're on this magical day. I always say that every day should be magical, but there are certain ones where, you feel a little bit more magic in the world. And perhaps, maybe when you wish upon a star, that wish, that what brings you joy will take you farther this year than if you just allow life to happen to you, and you, instead of you getting to happen to life, which is just beautiful, Simone. So how do you, I'm sorry, go ahead, please go ahead.
Yeah. And when you make space for yourself in your life and ground in your own life and make the choice to align with something that feels great inside of you, you feel better about yourself.
I think that the point, what you said there, is align with something that's great inside of you. Like, and usually those things that are great inside of you are the things that give you the most joy. It's like, oh, I love doing that. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to play with my friends. I love to be with my friends. I love to talk with my friends. I love to share, or you like to whittle things. I don't know, create things. But what you said there is the grounding is to figure out that, so that you can come from that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're grounded in yourself and you're acknowledging the truth of who you are, for me, it's so much easier to deal with all of the things that are going on in the world. Because if you have that connection with yourself, and you're pursuing that, it's grounding. It um, unites you with you.
I love that. And that's good. That's so good that you are united with you, because that's you. It's through your eyes you experience this world. And there's no shame in that. And
Mm-hmm.
everything that you've gone through up to this point in your world, in your life, has been created, gone through for you. And that's okay. You should own that. And that's what I hear you saying. That's so beautiful, Simone. It's
Thank you.
so beautiful. Thank you. That was absolutely, for me, I needed to hear that. That's probably why you're saying that, because clearly I'm the one talking to you. But the other fun thing that I love that you posted the other day, and I stole it because I love to steal from you, because you always have some wonderful guidance. And it's, I'm willing to trust that the entire cosmos is conspiring to help me. And there's nothing wrong with me thinking that way. It's like life is rigged in my favor. It's rigged in your favor. It's rigged and if I look for the good will find me. And I think that, tell me why you posted that, because I was just like, oh, it's so pretty. That's number
Well,
one.
I love this because, even, let's just say you're contemplating something. Like I've been contemplating what I am so super busy, which I'm really gratefully blessed to have so many amazing projects in my life. And I am starting to think about, okay, what am I spending my time on?
Mm-hmm.
And do I, is that where I really want to focus? And everything that I'm spending my time on is something of my own creation, right? And I
Yeah.
created it because it brought me joy. But is that still bringing me joy? Do I still want to do that thing?
Yeah.
And as my life evolves and certain other areas are coming into bloom, do I still want to spend a lot of time and energy on these other things?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I want, I'm kind of looking at how would I like to reallocate. So what's great is that the universe has brought me some projects that are really in line with what I've done before, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to take that on, because now I'm enjoying this other work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the universe saying, oh, are you thinking about changing some of what you do? Are you sure? Here, let
Yeah.
me give you this little bit of contrast
Yeah.
to help you think through that.
I love that.
So I love that quote, because for me, it's not just about, all the lights on the in the street turning green as you go down the street. It's
Mm-hmm.
also, the stoplights, the yield signs, the pedestrians crossing.
Yeah.
It's everything, because it's when it uh the contrast of, oh, do you want to create some more of those projects, or do you want to create some more of these projects? Oh, what would you like?
Yeah.
So the universe is just bringing me things, based on what I've put out there. Now
Yeah.
I get to choose. So I find that even when it's contrast,
Mm.
or even when it's a challenge.
I love that. And I have to tell you, Simone, one of the coolest things is that how aligned is this, that I label, or I theme my years. This is my year of amazing joy. And the fact of the matter is that we're talking about what brings you joy. And if you don't know what brings you joy, then you're just going to be bouncing off walls, like, well, that's not it. I mean, that's good too, though, what you're saying. The contrast is good too. So when we
Right.
have the contrast of those things that don't bring us joy, we can fine tune those things that do bring us more joy, which, I mean, isn't that the whole point of living, is that we live to learn? We're having these life lessons on this soul plane that, if it's all conspiring in our favor, then the synchronicity of all the different relationships that pop into your world is so yay. You getting like, oh my God, and why are you here today? Oh, and this and that. And then, but that's how you, and then, and the reality is that certain people show up and you're like, I need to be calmer, maybe slow down. That's, you do breathe that into people's lives, at least for me. I mean, I even see when we're preparing for the interview, you just sit there and it's like, and I'm like, I get excited, but yes, I can do that too. That's fun, just slowing down a little.
Mhm.
Um, this is the really exciting thing about introducing extraordinary people, in my view, to the world, is I get to share with them what I know to be true, is how that you have brought joy to me and how I've learned from you. So I get to show or share your vision with the world, embracing a path that maybe other people have never heard of. I mean, I'm sure there's some people going like, what's this quantum thing or whatever, but maybe now they have like, oh, interesting, maybe I'll look a little bit into it, or maybe I'll contact Simone and maybe I'll talk to her about it a little bit more, because you're very interesting and it's something different than I ever even imagined. So, wow, openness, curiosity, I get to learn something more. And, I have Connie here saying thank you. And I love these people. These people that are on are just like my people. I love them. They bring joy to my life. So when I get to turn to you and I get to share you with them, it's time to manifest. And when I
Yeah.
start saying manifest, it's like you get to show or share or whatever you want to do with others what's important in your life now and how
Mhm.
you come at it. So maybe that's where we'll start. What's important in your life now?
Mm. Uh, what's important in my life? Being present with people.
I love
Just
it.
if you're in my life, I want to be present with you.
Love that.
And if I find myself being antsy, I'm like, why is this? What
Mm.
is this telling me about what I want or what I don't want? So being present with people in my life, and in the groups that I work with, and personally art is in my life. And this year I've gotten the message to draw when I'm working with people.
I love
So I
it.
have just started um,
Put
drawing.
lift it up a little bit so we can see. What is this one? The flame, the soul flame.
Mhm. Yes, this was Ashley Bell and I were doing a teaching call on sacred union, and this is what came through.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
yeah, so I've started, being uh, more artistic in my life, and so that personally brings me
Love
joy, as well as when I'm in a call and I am, or when I'm with a client and I'm on my headset, maybe some image comes through and I start drawing it, and then I share it with them. It brings them joy. It lifts
that.
them. So art is what's bringing me joy. And, you know, it is such an incredible blessing to speak with people at the soul level consciousness.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think just the blessing of someone trusting you with, to be the, in a sense, translator of, their soul, um, to bring that soul message into words
Mhm.
is such an incredible grace.
Mhm.
And, you know, personally, I learn um, more and more um, non duality in that, because
Ah,
we're all so different.
so
And to
beautiful.
really receive every person I engage with just as, the truth of who they are right then in that moment. And then it helps me, that brings me joy, because then I'm more patient and loving and kind with myself in
Yeah.
my own life, because I have infinite patience when and unconditional love when I'm working with someone. And
Mhm.
so then to apply, to that inspires me in my own life. And then when I feel impatience in my own life, well, okay, what is that sharing? What is it revealing?
Mhm.
If for myself. So a lot bringing me joy. And honestly, the place that I live brings me incredible joy. I really love living on the water, and I see the water every time I look out the windows, and that brings me incredible
I love it.
joy, incredible joy. And I think there's something to be said for really thinking about where you live and
Yeah.
what you have created in your environment, and working to align yourself with the environment that is life affirming, life giving to
I love
you.
that. I love
You
that.
know, it's so, so important.
I think that's very important when you align yourself with your surroundings, and it's a place where you feel able to, you know, expand in a different way, you know, and I think that's beautiful. That's so on point what you just said, Simone. It just, yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. It's so important. That's perfect advice. That is wonderful advice going into, and we all were, it's so interesting because we were all locked into where we were.
Right,
You couldn't
right,
go anywhere. So if you didn't like
right.
where you were, it was going to be very contrasting to your
Wherever you
job.
go, there you are, right?
Love that. Oh my God.
Nature and beauty. And I realize that we all have different things that light us up.
Mm,
And for, not everyone is it nature and beauty, but if I can integrate nature at some point in my day, if I can take a walk outside
mm,
in the trees, or go out on my porch and look at the sun over the water, or walk down to the shore. Nature is such, again, to me, that's like breath and beauty, just having my surroundings be so beautiful to look at, that I could be working for 8 hours at my desk, but I love everything I see, and so it's a joy to be in my space. So I would encourage people by saying you're worth it.
mm,
You're worth making your environment loving to you,
mm. That's
especially when you're spending hours
there.
in that space. So invest in yourself, whatever it is,
I love I love that you're saying that. And a lot of people actually need permission to do that. So I just wanted to share this picture. This was the sunrise this morning, Simone.
Oh wow.
That I was like, I was gonna, that's what I saw outside my window. And I was just, it stopped me. And honestly, I couldn't capture the pinks, but they were pinks and they were just all sorts of colors. I was just like, oh, it was breathtaking. I had to stop and take the picture, and I had to include it tonight because, you know, those are the things that bring me joy, and certainly allow us, or allow myself, to start the day in a magical way, literally. So,
Okay, so a story's coming through. I have to say it.
okay.
So when my boys were younger, I would drive them to school or whatever. And if the sunset was pretty or the sunrise was pretty, I used to pull the car over and I'd say to them, let's look at this. Let's look at this together. Let's take a moment. And so there were so many times where I stopped to look at the sunrise, the sunset, the sky, the lightning, whatever. And then years later, when my son was 21 and he lost his vision in the car accident, one of the counselors that he had when he was learning how to navigate life as a blind man, she told him to always remember what things look like, what colors look like, and what things look like. And he shared with me that because we had stopped so often to see the sunrise, to see the sky, to see something beautiful. And he had all of those.
Wow.
In his catalog, in his encyclopedia.
That's beautiful.
And so many memories. And, when I was doing it, I wasn't doing it because I was saying, oh, you're 20, you're going to have this major life shift. No, it was just something that compelled me to appreciate the beauty of that moment.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And, yeah, so,
Wow.
I love seeing your sunrise.
Oh, wow. Well, Connie says you gave him light. You gave him light. That's beautiful, Simone. That's beautiful. I have to tell you, to start my year off with you is like a sunrise. And remember when I was starting my book, I was going to call it The Sunrise of My Soul's Bliss. And It has been a sunrise every morning that I have continued to wake up to this world, has been me stepping more into that, into my bliss. And it's been one of the most incredible honors and privileges to walk this journey with you, because I say over and over again, angels show up in your life when you need them most. Are you paying attention? So, and I think that the angels that are the boldest, they show you, I am here for you. They won't go away too quickly. So I guess you can be the most grateful for the ones that pull over and force you to see the sunlight, right? The sunrise.
Yeah.
The small things in life become the big things in life. And wow. And my intention this year is also to bring more peace to the world. And that was the message my mother left for me, is may peace prevail in my life, that I find that place where I can calm my inner storm, right? And there was such an inner storm that, all sorts of wacko. And I've come to the place where I know where to go if I need extra help, put it that way. And there's no shame in being vulnerable if you need extra help. I think that is one of the messages that you share, that if you need help, help is there. Be vulnerable to that and reach out, and you don't have to walk this journey alone. And with that, at the beginning of the interview, I asked you to set your intention. So share with us what that intention was, and then you can share with us the reading for today.
My intention was to be in my highest vibration, and for that to lift up every person who was called to be with us and listen to this podcast and manifesting with Meg. So yeah.
Beautiful. So, and you picked number, I think it was 323. Actually, I have it to show on the stream tonight. And if you have it with you, can you read it for us? The insight from the book that you picked.
Yes. Let me. I'm just pulling it up on my computer screen so that I can not have to look down. Let's see. Okay. Don't forget to sing in the lifeboat. I'm gonna have to pull it up on my phone. Give me just a second because it's too diffused on the screen. Hold on. Okay. Life is a shipwreck, but we must not forget to sing in the lifeboat. Ever woke up on the wrong side of the bed, wishing you could roll over on the other side and try again? It happens once in a while, or more than once in a while for me sometimes. Perhaps you did not sleep as well as you would have liked. Perhaps there was too much on your plate way too early in the morning. Perhaps you just can't get out of your own way. No worries. It is all part of being in this elite club called the human race. You have good days when everything seems effortless. You've had bad days when you would like to revoke your membership. The best advice for the latter is to just stand back with awareness and remember that this too shall pass. In the interim, if you still have to function, be of service to yourself and do something to make even the smallest shift to joy. Wow.
Wow.
When you greet someone with a smile, open the door for another, or allow a car to pass you without honking your horn, you stop digging yourself a bigger hole and start allowing the potential for the joy to return to your world. While crazy things happened around you and you feel like you are on a sinking ship, use your reason to get yourself into a lifeboat. Appreciate those who love and care about you and start to sing in gratitude. When you do, you can press the reset button and start your day anew. Anyone ready to sing? The magical key to bliss is look for your proverbial lifeboat, hop in, and start singing.
Yeah. So I think the coolest thing about tonight for me is that what brings you joy? And I definitely have showed up tonight embracing all the joy that you brought to me, and I'm sure many other people. And I'm ready to sing in the lifeboat, especially here in this country lately. I'm like ready to sing in the lifeboat. And I don't think that you can really hurt anybody if you start to sing. So pick a good song, sing along, and welcome being bold with Simone tonight, because honestly, the more of us that show up in that place, the better we all are. So with that, Simone, I am going to give you the final inspiration of the evening. And I have to tell you, I love that you say be present. That is my other goal, single tasking instead of multitasking. When I'm with somebody, I am fully with them. And that is bold, because there are so many people distracted by so many things in this world. And we could all use more of pure attention, pure space, and pure love directed right toward that other soul staring right back at you. So final inspiration goes to you, Simone.
Love with an open heart. Receive.
I love it. So you guys, on this 55th episode of Manifesting with Meg and Simone, you guys go out there and love with an open heart and receive as well. And we can all together make our own little corners of the world even that much brighter. Stop and see and look at the sunrises in the morning. Share moments with the people that you love. Sing in that lifeboat, babies. And we're all here for each other. This is a bunch of connections that we're all bumping into each other, and we need to hold each other and love each other even more. So with that, Simone, I'm going to include your information on the feed. It's simonegers.com, correct?
Yep.
MONEGERS.com. She's available there. She is amazing. You've gotten a little brief peek into her extraordinariness, but there's so much more to this beautiful woman. She is one of the most beautiful lights that I've ever met. And I am grateful, grateful, grateful for her presence in my life. I'm grateful that you all are here to share with us this wonderful evening. And let's just go out there. And once again, thank you to Simone for being and sharing this time with us tonight. Remember, all of us are deliberate creatives of your life. Dream big. Become an artist if you want to. Look at those gorgeous pictures. Let's all together raise the positive vibration on this planet so we can all live our bliss. It's time to manifest the most beautiful life we can. Welcome the joy. Figure out what brings you joy and go for it. Let's love ourselves exactly where we are. Speak wonderful words of upliftment as your body is listening, and continue to spread the love. Be bold and be an awakener. Time to manifest that life. Send out an intention that peace may prevail on earth, and go be wonderfully bold you. Thank you, Simone. I love you all. Happy, happy, happy 111, and go wish big. Good night, everybody.
Take care.